In the vast expanse of the wilderness, where the Israelites wandered under the shadow of the mountains, Moses stood before the people. His voice, weathered but firm, resounded through the camp as he prepared them for the great journey ahead. One of the most important of these lessons was the appointment of judges. With careful deliberation, Moses appointed leaders, and amongst them was Joshua, Yehoshua, a figure known not only for his bravery in battle, but also for his profound wisdom and diligence in upholding justice. His heart resonated with the teachings of the Torah, and he understood the weight of the decisions he would have to make. As he accepted his role, he prayed for guidance, saying, "May my words reflect truth, and my actions evoke compassion." One day, a dispute arose between two tribes over a precious water source that had become scarce in the dry season. Each tribe claimed the right to use it, and tensions flared dangerously. Moses summoned Joshua to mediate the conflict, knowing that a decision had to be made swiftly to prevent discord from tearing the community apart. As Joshua approached the brothers from each tribe, he recalled the words of Moses. A judge should hear all sides impartially. He welcomed them, allowing each to voice their concerns. The first brother raised his voice, pleading, "This water is my family's lifeline. Without it, we cannot survive." The second brother retorted, "But we have been here longer. Our ancestors were the first to find this source." Understanding the gravity of the situation, Joshua kept his composure. He asked them to pause and reflect on the greater good of their community, reminding them, "We are all descendants of Abraham, and we must prioritize our unity over discord." Then, inspired by the teachings he learned from Moses, Joshua turned to the Torah for guidance. As he studied the text, clarity emerged. He thought of the concept of sharing resources, of how the essence of their journey was about embracing each other as brothers and sisters. With a wise heart, Joshua crafted a solution. "Let us agree to share this water source equally. I propose that we establish a system where each tribe has access at designated times, ensuring fairness and respect for all." He stretched out his hands toward both brothers, proclaiming, "Justice does not mean loss for one, but a harmonious balance for both." The brothers looked at each other, realizing how their quarrel had clouded their vision. They agreed, their anger dissipating in the face of Joshua's wisdom. The community rejoiced, thankful for their compassionate leader, who had found a solution that not only served justice, but also healed the rift between them. As Moses watched the resolution unfold, he nodded, filled with pride. He proclaimed to the people, "This is how we must live in the Promised Land. Remember the words of the Midrash Tanchuma. One who judges fairly brings peace to the world." And so, the Israelites learned an invaluable lesson, that justice must walk hand in hand with compassion. In our daily lives, conflicts may arise that challenge our sense of fairness. This story teaches us the importance of listening to all sides of a situation and seeking wisdom before acting. By valuing fairness and striving for peaceful resolutions, we can foster harmony within our own communities. Practical advice for navigating disputes includes actively seeking the counsel of wise, experienced individuals, remaining open to dialogue, and recognizing the shared humanity in each other. By embracing the principles of justice tempered with compassion, we can create a world where understanding flourishes, much like the rich land awaiting the Israelites. Moses' address to the Israelites serves as a richly woven tapestry of history, morality, and spirituality, imbued with lessons that extend beyond the immediate context of their journey. Each name and location Moses mentioned, while geographic, acted as a mnemonic device, encapsulating the collective memory of the people and their journey toward redemption and growth. The locations referenced are poignant reminders of the struggles and failures the Israelites faced. By recalling their experiences in the desert and the incidents surrounding them, such as the sin of the golden calf, Moses invited introspection rather than mere recollection. This reflective approach allowed the Israelites to examine their past sins through a lens of compassion, fostering a spirit of vulnerability instead of defensiveness. The Midrash underscores this technique as an essential aspect of effective leadership, where the art of reproach is intertwined with love and understanding. Furthermore, the distinction between Balaam and Moses elucidates a profound truth about leadership and moral guidance. Moses' love for his people transforms his words into a soothing balm rather than a scathing critique. Moses' advocacy for the Israelites before GD emphasizes his recognition of their innate righteousness. The miraculous 11-day journey, shortened to 3 days, serves as another reminder of GD's grace and the alignment of divine providence with human agency. The delay in reaching the Promised Land, stemming from the sin of the spies, highlights the importance of personal responsibility. Each decision has consequences, with the Israelites learning that their immediate actions could significantly affect their future. Moses' decision to communicate the Torah in 70 languages symbolizes the universal aspects of GD's commandments. Ultimately, GD's command to move beyond Horeb serves as a pivotal lesson that spiritual experiences, no matter how profound, are not meant to be lingering destinations, but rather catalysts for action and change. His gentle rebuke and nurturing guidance framed their past in the context of future promise, encouraging them to embrace their journey ahead with a renewed sense of purpose and collective responsibility. Moses' address to the Israelites encapsulates a profound message of reflection, growth, and the imperative of moving forward. The recitation of place names that recall their previous transgressions not only serves as a reminder of the past, but also encourages the Israelites to learn from their mistakes. Moses' choice to rebuke the Israelites indirectly is also noteworthy. The contrast between Balaam and Moses further emphasizes the significance of Moses' role. Moreover, the miraculous nature of their journey, from significant speed under divine guidance to the eventual delays caused by the sins of the spies, underscores the dynamic relationship between human actions and divine intentions. Moses' fluency in 70 languages as he begins to teach the Torah symbolizes its universal relevance. Finally, the command to leave Horeb illustrates an essential tenet of spiritual growth. Revelation is merely another step in a continuous journey. In essence, Moses' messages are a blend of memory and hope, correction and encouragement. In the heart of the desert, Moses stood before the people of Israel, his heart burdened by their growing numbers. "I cannot bear the weight of your struggles alone," he declared, his voice echoing across the sands. "The Lord your God has multiplied you, and now you are like the stars in the sky." The people listened intently as Moses continued, "To guide you better, I need your help. Bring forth wise and understanding men from among your tribes, and I will appoint them as your leaders." The crowd murmured in agreement, saying, "It is good, the thing you have spoken." Thus, Moses selected capable leaders, captains of thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens, to help him. He instructed them, "Judge justly between your brethren and the strangers. Do not favor anyone, for the judgment belongs to God." As they listened, Moses shared wisdom passed down through generations. "Remember," he warned, "the faults of the people lie with their leaders." Just as a Rebbe must reflect on his own flaws to guide others, so too must leaders be mindful of their responsibilities. One day, a poor widow came to Rabbi Yehoshua, weeping as she sought justice. The rabbi called the accused, but chose not to judge the case himself, fearing her tears might cloud his judgment. This moment echoed the teachings of Moses, emphasizing fairness above all. Later the Israelites approached Moses again, eager to explore the land of Canaan. "Send men to scout the land," they proposed. God confirmed this was Moses' choice, saying, "If you desire to err, you have that option." Through these lessons, Moses taught the importance of wise leadership, justice, and the weight of moral responsibility, an eternal legacy guiding generations to come. Once, in the vast wilderness, the Israelites journeyed from Horeb, guided by the promise of a new land. This land belonged to the Amorites, a place filled with potential and the blessings of the Almighty. As they arrived at Kadesh Barnea, Moses encouraged the people. "The Lord has set this land before us," he told them. "Go up and possess it. Do not fear." In response, the people proposed something different. "Let us send spies to explore the land," they urged. Moses found their suggestion sound and selected 12 men, one from each tribe. They ventured into this new territory, returning with bountiful fruits and excited reports about its goodness. Yet despite the blessings, fear took hold of the people. They rebelled against the Lord's command. "He has brought us here to ruin us," they cried. Doubt crept into their hearts as they spoke of giants in the land and towering fortified cities. Moses, seeing their fear, reassured them. "Don't be afraid. The Lord your God will fight for you, just as he did in Egypt. Trust him." But their faith faltered. They could not see past their fears. According to the sages, the spies' dread stemmed from a deep fear of losing their spiritual lives in the promised land. Midrash, Rashi, they recalled fallen angels who, when faced with earthly temptations, had succumbed to corruption. If even they fell, how could we stand strong, they wondered. Thus, the journey toward the promised land, rich with blessings, became clouded by doubt and fear. The Israelites, unready to embrace their destiny, turned back from the path laid out for them. In a time long ago, there lived a great leader named Moses. He had led the people of Israel out of the darkness of slavery in Egypt, guiding them through trials in the wilderness. God had promised these people a beautiful land, a land flowing with milk and honey. However, there was a moment when everything changed. One day, the people whispered in fear, doubting their ability to conquer the land ahead of them. Their murmurs reached God's ears, and he became very angry. He declared that none of that generation, which had witnessed miracles yet still doubted, would enter the promised land. Only Caleb, who had shown unwavering faith, would see it. God turned to Moses, saying, "With what face do you request to enter the land? You must stay with your people in the wilderness, for they will possess the land, but you will not." Moses, heart heavy with despair, was reminded of his great responsibility. He was like a shepherd whose flock had been lost. Should he return to the king's palace alone while the flock remained in danger? God encouraged him to be with the people, for they would inherit the land. "Your little ones, whom you thought would perish, they will enter and possess the land," God assured him. So Moses accepted his fate. He would not step foot into the land promised by God, but he would stand beside those he led, nurturing their spirits and guiding them towards their destiny. The desert would be their home for now, but he would be there for them always. In this way, Moses found peace. His legacy would live on through the next generation. In the ancient lands of Kadesh, the people stood at the brink of despair. They had heard the voice of God and felt the weight of their sins. "We have sinned against God," they declared with determination. "We will go up and fight, just as the Lord commanded us." They strapped on their weapons of war and set out toward the hills, ready to reclaim their destiny. But the divine voice warned, "Say to them, neither go up nor fight, for I am not among you." Yet the people, driven by their pride and regret, chose to ignore the warning. They marched up the hill, their hearts beating with hope, but they had forgotten an essential truth. They were not alone in their journey. The Amorites, who dwelt in those hills, saw the approaching Israelites. They swarmed like angry bees, furious and quick. God was not with the Israelites, and without his protection, they faltered. "Chased like bees," the elders whispered, recalling the words of their past. The Amorites struck fiercely, pushing the Israelites back through Seir, all the way to Hormah. Defeated and heartbroken, the Israelites returned, tears streaming down their faces, calling out to God for mercy. Yet God remained silent, turning away from their pleas. Days turned into weeks as they lingered in Kadesh, the weight of their rebellion heavy on their hearts. Eventually, they turned their backs on their former hope and journeyed through the wilderness. They wandered around Mount Seir, their hearts filled with lessons learned about obedience, faith, and the consequences of straying from God's path. Yet, even in their wandering, they held on to hope for a brighter tomorrow. In the vast and ancient wilderness, God spoke to the people of Israel after their long journey of 40 years. They had wandered through dry deserts and encountered many challenges, but now it was time for change. With a renewed sense of purpose, the Israelites prepared to pass through the land of their distant relatives, the children of Esau, who lived in the rugged mountains of Seir. God warned them to be careful. "Do not provoke them, for I will not give you any of their land." They were to buy food and water from Esau's people, reminding them that they had been blessed with everything they needed during their journey. As they traveled, they crossed the sandy Wadi Zered, reflecting on the years behind them. It had taken 38 years of hardship and loss for the men of war from the previous generation to pass away, as God had promised. Now, the Israelites were ready to continue toward their destiny. They moved forward, hearing God's voice guiding them once more. "Do not harass Moab or Ammon, for I have given their lands to the families of Lot." The land was filled with stories of great giants and ancient peoples who had once called it home. The Amim and the Rephaim roamed the valleys long ago, but, as God had said, their time was over. With each step, the Israelites felt the weight of their past falling away, making space for hope and promise. God had been with them through it all, and as they turned their eyes to the north, they moved boldly toward new beginnings. In the days of old, a great journey began across the rugged wilderness. Moses, the leader of the Israelites, stood before his people and said, "Rise up and take your journey. We will cross the Wadi Arnon." God had promised them victory over Sihon, the king of Heshbon. Moses recalled, "This day he will put fear in the hearts of the nations before us." As they marched, Moses sent messengers to Sihon, requesting safe passage through his land. "Let us pass through," he pleaded. "We will pay for food and water. We only wish to travel quietly to the land promised by our God." However, Sihon refused, hardening his heart against the Israelites, like a wall against a storm. But God had a plan. He told Moses, "Look, I have begun to give Sihon and his land into your hands." And so the king, driven by stubbornness, came out to confront them at Yahaz. The Israelites, filled with courage from God's promise, faced their enemy. With a great battle cry, the Israelites clashed with Sihon and his army. It was not a mere fight. It was a clash of destiny. The Lord, true to his word, delivered Sihon into their hands. They fought valiantly, overcoming the king and his people. Every city fell before them, and they devoted all to destruction, sparing nothing but the animals for their needs. From Aroer to Gilead, no city stood strong against them. Yet, God warned them to respect the lands of others, forbidding their entry into the territories of the children of Ammon. And thus, the Israelites claimed the land they were destined for, stepping boldly into their future. In the ancient lands where kings reigned and battles echoed through the valleys, a formidable foe emerged: Og, the king of Bashan. One day, under a blazing sun, Moses and his people journeyed through the rugged terrains towards Bashan. They had just emerged victorious over King Sihon of Heshbon, but now they faced a mightier challenge. As they approached the plains of Edrei, Og appeared before them, clad in his armor, radiating power, and accompanied by his vast army. Fear gripped the hearts of the Israelites as they gazed upon the giant who loomed before them. But then God spoke to Moses, saying, "Fear him not, for I will deliver him and all his people into your hand." Inspired, Moses recalled the wonder of God's promises. He remembered how God had guided them before, allowing them to triumph over Sihon. He summoned the courage within himself and reminded his people of their purpose. With their faith ignited, they prepared for battle. With a battle cry that echoed like thunder, the Israelites charged into the fray. It was fierce, and the ground trembled beneath their feet as they fought with divine strength. Just as God had assured, victory came swiftly. They defeated Og and his army, leaving none standing. Each fortified city of Bashan was captured, and in total there were 60 cities to claim. In the aftermath, the people marveled at the bounties of their triumph. They took livestock and treasures as spoils, while the memory of Og faded into history. Moses remembered that Og was not just a giant in stature, but one who stood distant from the grace of their ancestors. Thus, the mighty bed of iron, a relic of Og, was a testament to the victory of faith over fear. And so, the land from the Wadi of Arnon to Mount Hermon was secured for the children of Israel, as God had promised. As it was written, "For only Og king of Bashan remained of the remnant of the Rephaim." Deuteronomy 3:11. With each step forward, the Israelites knew they were marching toward their destiny, bolstered by the mighty hand of God. In the land east of the Jordan River, 2.5 tribes of Israel found a home. The great leader Moses stood before them, pointing out the territories they would possess. From Aroer by the Wadi Arnon to the hills of Gilad, Moses divided the land among them. The strong, fertile area known as Bashan, ruled by the mighty king Og, was given to Manasseh. A brave warrior named Yair from Manasseh took charge of the Argob region, calling it Havot Yair, a name that echoes through history. Moses reminded the Reubenites and Gadites, "Your families and livestock will stay behind in this land, but you must first join your brothers in battle." His voice was firm, yet encouraging, as he urged them to fight alongside the other tribes until all of Israel found peace in their new homeland. With the promise of the Lord in their hearts, these 2.5 tribes prepared for the fight to come. They had seen God's power as he defeated kings and cleared paths before them. Deuteronomy 3:21-22. Their courage grew, knowing they had the strength of the Almighty on their side. The Reubenites, Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh stood proud and ready. They knew their families awaited their return, and they would not falter. Their loyalty was strong, and with the call of Moses ringing in their ears, they set forth, armed and determined, ready to secure the promised land for all of Israel. Deuteronomy 3:18-20.